Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top. It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, this is some nice upbeat stuff here for you. Plenty of reasons to be happy today if you're a Utah Mammoth fan, if you're a resident here in the state of Utah and you're watching your NHL hockey franchise go to the Stanley Cup Playoffs for the first time since they've been here in this city. And it only took to year 2 to get there. And they clinched the wild card 1 spot last night. Watching this one was a lot of fun. I made the prediction yesterday on our show. It was going to be 2 goals from Cools, and it was going to be 4-2. I'll take 2 goals from Schmaltzy and a 5-3 win for this Mammoth team. Joining us right now, Mike Folta, Utah Mammoth play-by-play radio voice, joining us on the show as he likes to do every week. Mike, that must have been a fun night last night, dude.
Total dominance from the Utah Mammoth last night against the Winnipeg Jets. And that was the last objective, like the last tangible objective of the season was to secure wild card 1. Utah still has another game tomorrow against the St. Louis Blues, but there was still seeding to play for. And Utah showed up and just totally annihilated a Jets team that has had a tough go this season. I think they'll be back maybe next year, next couple years, but the Mammoth are dancing, and now they know what seat they're sitting in on the train to the postseason. Boys, it's first class. Wild card 1 is where you want to be. It's first class like how JJ flies all the time.
Oh, yeah. No, it's good.
I wish.
Where do you have to sit?
I need to get your travel agent, Mike.
Mike, where do you have to sit on the plane?
Baggage compartment?
No, I'm saying I don't know. Do they mix you guys up at all? Do you just go over and go, I'll sit next to Curfew this flight? I don't know. I don't know how that works.
So we walk past the players on the way back to the back of the plane, and they like the chairs they have are unbelievable. I think most of them are have the massage buttons in there. I think a lot of them are massage chairs. There's a few tables around like a card table, or a few chairs around a card table as well. So about half the team is playing cards on any given flight. And it's pretty impressive, guys. It's an 82 game season, 41 of which are on the road. You're flying to every single game, and it's almost the exact same players playing every single flight.
Yeah.
So I've never been to one of those games, nor will I ever be invited, but I could just about tell you the score based on the reaction of guys we see from the back of the plane.
No wonder this team plays so well on the road.
I was also going to say, I bet the plane down in Phoenix was not nearly as nice. But that's neither here nor there.
Probably Frontier Airlines.
we're focusing mostly.
You got to pay for your carry-on.
They have to sit on each other's laps. Mike, I do want to know about this team with the clinching last night that they did of that wild card 1 spot. We went through, and I think we talked a little bit about what the Pacific path would be, and still, like you said, the seeding is going to matter over the next couple of days of what they're going to be able to see in the first round, and then also potentially what the second round would look like. Is there a possibility? Is there a ceiling for this team in this playoffs, and was it improved because they got that wild card 1 spot?
Yeah, it's absolutely improved, and you think the Utah Mammoth have a better draw as the top wild card team than the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild, who are they're the second and third team in the Central Division.
Right.
They have more points, a lot more points than Utah, and yet it's the Mammoth that has an easier path through the postseason. I think it's, as a fan, as a greedy fan, it's hard not to look at the bracket and say, yeah, we could be in the Western Conference Finals. And I don't think we have like odds or, even analytic numbers for the Mammoth in their first round series against whomever it may be. But I think the odds are going to be pretty close. Like whatever the analytics say, it's going to be pretty close to 50-50 that Utah wins their first round matchup. And then whoever they play in the second round, it's going to be close to 50-50 again. So you do that math, guys. You take a half times a half, you get a quarter. That means it's a 25% chance for the Mammoth to reach the Western Conference Finals. You take those odds, my friend. You take those.
No doubt about it. And look, we don't want to get too far ahead because there's still some business that has to be taken care of tonight with Vegas either winning or losing tonight. But we've talked about it. The odds favor Vegas. They're up 2 points. All they need is 1 point tonight to make that happen. So let's assume Vegas is that opponent. As you start looking at that matchup, why do you like Utah's chances in that matchup?
Well, I like Utah's chances against Vegas because the Golden Knights have been searching for goaltending all season. Their head coach currently has coached them for a total of 7 games, I believe it is now. They've got one more. John Tortorella took over for Bruce Cassidy with 8 games left in the regular season. Carter Hart has stepped in to be their goaltender as of late. I'm not sure if he's going to be their number one or not when they hit game 1 of their playoff series. But I think for the goaltending reason, you feel decent about Vegas. Also, guys, the Mammoth are 2-3 against the Golden Knights this year. And it's a 5-hour drive down there to Vegas. There's going to be a lot of Mountain Blue at the Fortress.
Especially when you can get in for $80.
Well, and the Mammoth have played really well in that building dating back to last year. There was a game where Utah was struggling last season around Thanksgiving, and they walk into the Fortress and they beat the brakes off of Vegas 6-0. And that was a better Vegas team. Utah scored 3 goals on 3 shots the last time they were in Vegas. So look, everything's totally different in the playoffs. Like you can't take regular season results and extrapolate them to the postseason, but that's all the data we have on the Mammoth. We don't have any postseason information on them. So we're using what we got. And I would rather see anybody but the best player in the world, Connor McDavid and the Oilers in that first round.
Agree.
Mike, when you see how this team has been playing, you've had certain guys, not like the other teammates have not shown up, but you've had guys that are hitting a high right now. And I think Alex Kerfoot is one of those guys that doesn't get enough credit. Or I think we've all seen like how big of an impact that Kerfoot's had over the last few weeks, being 100% after the injury that's kind of kept him hobbled for a good chunk of the season. Your thoughts on guys like Alex Kerfoot and others who are hitting a stride right now exactly when you want to see him doing it?
Well, Kerfoot's absence was maybe one of the quieter storylines of the season that should have been louder because we talked a lot about Logan Cooley being gone for 28 games, and rightfully so, right? He's a dynamic player, but Kerfoot got hurt the first day in training camp and missed basically the first half of the season. And without him, you're losing one of your top penalty killers. You're missing a guy who can literally play on any line. You can put him on the 4th line. He'll be effective, but he's skilled enough to play with guys like Keller and Schmaltz on the top line. You can put him on the power play. You can play him in late game situations. He can take faceoffs. We call him the Swiss Army knife. Bear has called him the brains of the operation. He's a Harvard guy too.
Yeah.
He married a Harvard grad. So he's got the brains on him, but he is so valuable to this team. And even when he came back in the middle of the year, he wasn't quite 100%. Because remember, guys, he didn't have a training camp. He didn't have any build up to the season. He just parachuted in and was playing against the best hockey players in the world. So he struggled, especially offensively, for a couple games. But now the play never dies on his stick. If he gets the puck, something good is about to happen next. And he's playing on a 3rd line with J.J. Peterka and Michael Carcone that is really as fun offensively as a 3rd line as you will see in the National Hockey League. A lot of teams' 3rd lines are straight, simple, kind of straight ahead guys that try and just check the other team's best players. Well, with Kerfoot, Peterka, and Carcone, you got Paterka, who's a 3-time 20-goal scorer, Carcone, who's one of the fastest players in the league, and Kerfoot, who fills in the cracks and does everything. That's been a really fun line. They were fantastic last night, and Kerfoot's right in the middle of it, literally. He's the center of that line. I think his playoff experience, especially with his days from Colorado and Toronto, is going to be so valuable for the Mammoth. His voice is so meaningful on that bench.
And so many good veterans on this team to go with the great youth. Nick Schmaltz has been such a great story this year, and it just keeps getting better. 2 big goals last night, career high of 33. I mean, he just obliterated his previous career high. You talked to him there's so many things you're probably seeing with him. What has been the difference in his elevated play this year as you've watched him the entire season?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think the defensive side of his game is really strong. I think he'll get some Selke votes this year. The Selke Trophy goes to the best defensive forward in the NHL. I don't think he'll be in the top 3 or the top 5, but I think he'll be the top 10 or top 12 of voting across the league, which is still saying something. Some of the best plays that we've seen all year have started with a Nick Schmaltz defensive play. Like, think back to when the Philadelphia Flyers could have walked in and hit an empty netter and beat the Mammoth in regulation, but Schmaltz chases the guy down, strips him from behind, and sends Keller back the other way. Utah ties it, and they win in overtime. So I think, Schmaltz elevating his game as a center is a huge storyline for the team as well, because he took over a center role when Logan Cooley went down due to injury. And guys, let's be honest too, it's a contract year for Nick Schmaltz. He signed the big ticket with the Mammoth, 8 years, $8 million per year. That'll start next year. So he had a lot to play for financially, but he's one of the leaders of this group. And he really hasn't been in the playoffs since his rookie year in Chicago, I believe it was.
Yes.
He was supposed to be in the playoffs with Arizona in the bubble in 2020, but he got hit in the head by Ryan Reeves right before the postseason started. So he hasn't been in the playoffs in a decade. You can tell he's hungry to get back.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Mike, as you watch this thing roll out, and we've seen the development of the team over the past couple of years, it's going like exactly the way that Bill Armstrong said that they wanted it to happen, which is developing last year. They didn't feel like they were quite there yet. And it was like, I mean, right now, and JJ and I were talking about this at the front end of the show, it was like, man, this team feels so much more put together. They feel so, and yet they're only 3 points ahead right now of where they were last year at the end of the year. And they could end only 3 points ahead of that. But there is something different. What's the intangible maybe that we miss for a team that is able to get a team like the Mammoth into the playoffs?
Yeah, it is interesting because, we're here celebrating like, we're world conquerors last year, and we were the junior varsity peons a season ago. Even when you said there's only a couple points of separation. Some of that is the surroundings. Other teams haven't been as good. Some of that is the Mammoth lost a lot of overtime games last year, so they got a lot of loser points where Utah hasn't. They've lost. I don't know if they've lost more in regulation, but haven't had the benefit of some of those loser points this year. But they've won more games. That's a meaningful thing. I think the way this team has snapped losing skids is impressive to me. The longest losing skid this year is 4 games for the Mammoth. They've done that a couple times. They've only lost 4 games in regulation consecutively one time. And that was all the way back in November. So, you think of the worst parts of the season, it was in the hardest part of the schedule, and it was in November. And ever since then, this team's been able to course correct really quickly. Mm-hmm. And over the last couple months, they've been able to course correct within games, not just within the schedule. So I think that bounce back ability is impressive to me. And that's important in the playoffs, guys, because you're not going to sweep every series in the playoffs.
Right.
You're going to lose a game in the playoffs, and it's going to feel like the world's ending, and you're going to have to wake up the next day and find a way to win the next game in the series. So that bounce back ability of this team is something that I really like. And it's a good 5-on-5 team. It's a better 5-on-5 team than what they had last year. And that's important because, as you guys know, there's no 3-on-3 overtime in the playoffs.
Right.
Special teams, very important, but 5-on-5 is usually a pretty good indicator of playoff success.
Hockey fans here in Utah are going to be watching the Stanley Cup playoffs different than ever before because now they have a dog in the fight. You look around the league and you see some of these matchups already. Not all of them are determined, obviously. We got a couple more nights before we know for sure. But based on what you see right now and what could happen, what are some of the things that you are going to be looking for just as a hockey fan that fans should watch? Which of these series has just got you locked in thinking, I got to watch every game of that?
Well, if you start in the Eastern Conference, I mean, you have the battle of the Keystone State, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia meeting in round one. I don't know what Gritty, the Philly mascot, is going to do to the poor penguin they have in Pittsburgh, but it ain't going to be pretty.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that. So I'm looking at that, and obviously you have Crosby involved in the playoffs too. Philly, a big surprise to make the postseason, so that'll be a fun one. But how about the Buffalo Sabres?
Yeah.
Hadn't made the playoffs in 14 years. Now the New York Jets own the longest playoff drought in North American pro sports. Sorry, Jets fans.
Why are the Jets catching strays today?
Hey, listen.
Nothing against Zach Wilson. Nothing against Zach Wilson.
Oh, trust me, he don't care no more.
Oh.
But the Buffalo Sabres are one of the best stories in sports.
Yeah.
Erasing a huge playoff drought, and they won their division. They didn't just sneak in; they won their division.
Yeah.
I'll be watching that. I mean, how can you not look at the Central Division where the Mammoth play, the best division in hockey? The Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild, those are two teams that could easily win a Stanley Cup, and they're playing in the first round. And Utah is laughing because we're benefiting from the current playoff format. Teams like Dallas and Minnesota, they are so frustrated with the way the playoffs are currently set up right now. So that'll be a great round one matchup. And then I think the Mammoth are a great story. It's Utah's first time to the playoffs, and the Mammoth have a legitimate chance to make a run in the postseason, not just because of who they play, but because of how good this team is. So I think those are the big things that I'm looking at across the league.
Has the league, I'm sure it's been brought up, I'm sure it's a conversation during the collective bargaining agreements, and the commissioner Gary Bettman's got to figure some stuff out maybe with it as well. But we hear the complaints about the setup of the playoffs. We've seen when the complaints were in the other direction for the prior model, and it just seems like they can't win on that. What is there a better version of this, or is this like a function this year? It looks so bad this year because of how bad the Pacific Division was. It was like, you normally don't have a division that bad for us to be able to complain that much about how the matchups are going to go.
That's part of it. I mean, the Pacific Division is the worst division in hockey since 2011, 2012,
wow.
I believe. So it's pretty darn bad. I mean, collectively, their points percentage is like, I think maybe 500, maybe. And again, you shouldn't be at 500 because the loser point keeps you at 500. Winning gets you well above. Anyway, math. I know not your guys' strong suit.
No.
But I think that Gary Bettman, and from what you hear out of the commissioner's office, that he likes the regional format because it keeps rivalries intact, or that's the idea of it. Like if it was 1 through 8, we're not getting Philly and Pittsburgh in the first round.
Right.
And like one of the great stories of the NHL the last 2 years has been the rivalry between Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Why is it a rivalry? Because the Penguins were beating the Capitals every year in the playoffs, even when the Capitals were the best team in the East. And there was a narrative around Ovechkin that he couldn't win the big one. And then they finally get past Pittsburgh and they do. So that's a regional rivalry that would go away in 1 through 8 or 1 through 16. So that's why they have it. And in hockey, we get rivalries because of the playoffs, right? Like you play 31 teams during the regular season. It's really hard to organically create rivalries in the regular season because you're playing everybody. But in the postseason, when you repetitively run into the same team and play them in 7-game fistfights, that's when we get rivalries like Florida and Tampa. Like, yes, they're state rivals, but that rivalry is born in the postseason. And Tampa was so good for so long, and they pushed Florida around that it forced the Panthers to say, you know what? We're tired of getting pushed around. Get in here, Sam Bennett. Get in here, Matthew Tkachuk. And what do you know? Boom, the Panthers go to three straight Stanley Cup finals. And so you lose that regionality if you go 1 through 8.
Yeah, and I get that, and I understand the logic behind it. It's just last year we had Tampa Bay and Florida in the first round, and you could argue that the winner of that series was going to win the Cup, and that's kind of what happened, right? So do you see the league revisiting this anytime soon, or do you think the commissioner's he's going to dig his heels in on this?
Yeah, I think – look, I'm not in the commissioner's office. I'll say that. I'm just repeating what I hear from Elliot Friedman's a great reporter with 32 Thoughts with Sportsnet. Yep. So I get a lot of my hockey insight on the commissioner's office from him. He's my bug in Gary Bettman's office. But from what you hear from the commissioner, who we've met, by the way, he's been to Utah several times now.
He loves it here.
He – like when he thinks he's right, he thinks he's right. Which I get. I relate to that. And here's the other thing too, guys. If you want to win a Stanley Cup, you're going to have to beat a good team somewhere.
True.
Right? And like Dallas and Minnesota are complaining about playing each other in the first round. Well, you'd have to play each other sometime. They're both Western Conference opponents. Like if it wasn't the first round, it'd probably be the second, or if not that, then the third. And maybe from a business perspective, you complain because you could lose out on revenue, but you can't get to the Stanley Cup finals without beating at least one really, really good team.
Mike is a hockey guy though, and what would kid Mike Folta be thinking now to be able to call for the first time ever, some playoff hockey here in the state of Utah for an NHL team?
Don't screw it up. It's you think of, I think of like the highlight reels I would listen to as a kid or when I was young in the industry, and like these Hall of Fame moments. And I think there's definitely an onus on the broadcaster to make it special. I tell you what, guys, though, I think there's an onus on the broadcaster to get out of the way too.
Oh, yeah.
And there are times when the Delta Center is chanting Veggie's name where I just shut up. And Ben Russell, our engineer, just turns the crowd mic up, and you just hear the Delta Center chorusing out the name of a Mammoth player. And so it's gonna be a big responsibility. It's one I'm looking forward to. But there's gonna be a challenge to rise to the moment, but there will also be a challenge to get the heck out of the way and let the Delta Center and let the atmosphere tell the story for itself.
Well said. Mike Folta, radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, joining us right here, JJ and Alex. Hey, Mike, have a great call tomorrow on Game 82, and then we're looking forward to the rest of the way to, and hopefully some long playoffs or many playoff games you're going to be able to call, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, Mike.
We'll see you guys on the plaza. Catch you later.
There you go. Can't wait.
Mike Folta, everybody.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.